Okay, so we're gonna see how this goes. I'm making this recording mostly to help out with people who are either completely lost with this lab, hopefully you weren't, or those of you who could not make the Tuesday lab. Especially for people who maybe missed the Refolded Folds lecture and are kind of feeling lost on what all these pictures mean. This generally goes over what you need to do. There's a couple things that you definitely should look through. The past lecture PowerPoints, and of course, take a look at the lab PowerPoint. But hopefully this gives you kind of a starting point on the things that you need to know and hopefully things that help you through the lab. All right, let's see how this goes. Okay, so I've drawn 3 different things here. So we've got this, which is kind of like phase 1, this is phase 2, this is phase 3. Okay, so this is our unit with no folding. In our example, we're going to say that, there's pebbles that are kind of at the bottom, and that's what we can use as saying this is the base of the bed and this is the top of the bed. The top of the bed is very sandy, the bottom of the bed has a bunch of pebbles. So if we go through, we can start to kind of say, okay, that this, that this is our surface. That's our surface. Okay. This is the bottom of the bed. This is the top of the bed. So we know that the bed is kind of pointing upwards like that. Okay. So at each step of the way, we're going to kind of talk about which phase we're in. So this is going to be like kind of phase 1. No folding. This is the surface of the bed that we can mark. Okay. In this, we don't see we don't really need to know much about the cleavage. It's a flat plane that has not been folded. So let's go to phase 2. This is when we get our first fold. And our fold has kind of bent our thing kind of like this. Okay. So the first thing that you should do is figure which way is up. All right. So up here, we know that, the pebbles are at the bottom. So we see the pebbles at the bottom here. Okay. So the pebbles are all there. So we know that this way, that direction, that's going to be up. Okay. So this is our up. All right. Second good thing to do is figure out where your original surface is. Now, our original surface, we're going to mark once again with an S. And this right here, I can have a steady hand, that would be nice. This right here is going to be our original surface. Okay, that's what's been folded. Now, the next thing that you do is try to figure out where the fold itself is. Like, where could you put the actual fold surface? So if we remember that if I were to put like a plane through here, let me change my color to make it a little easier to see. Okay, so if I were to put kind of like a box through here, that would be my fold plane. Okay. That right there, this line is like the fold kind of axis. And this line right here is the fold hinge. Now, because we're not looking at this in 3D, as if, we're kind of going back like that, since we're not really looking at it in 3D, we don't really need to worry about the fold hinge at the moment, but keep it in mind that it's going to be right at the top. However, if we're looking for the fold axis, it is this line right here. It's what makes your thing fold in half, okay? So you can mark that in right here, and we can label that with an F1 for our first fold. All right, now, another thing to kind of keep in mind as you're going through are your cleavage planes that you see, right? So we see a cleavage plane here, and like that, all right? And these are actually really useful to make sure that you're putting the fold in the right direction. As you're going to see in the PowerPoint, you can use S's and Z's to kind of figure out which way is up. All right. So it kind of is going to go like that. As you get closer and closer to the hinge itself, you're going to get some parallel cleavage planes. Once again, something that's talked about, and I'm not really going to go into detail here, talked about more in both the lecture, in mostly the lecture, and then we're going to kind of cover it a little bit on the Tuesday lecture in class. All right, so let's go to number 3. We'll change this again so we can see it a little better. All right, so this is number 3. Actually, I lied. So first step, once again, is going through and figuring out what up is. All right, so we see our pebbles. That's at the bottom of the bed. Oh, it's kind of weird because some of this stuff is actually overturned, right? Over here, you're like, oh, okay, cool. It's all at the bottom of the bed. Over here, though, you have some areas where you have a bottom, then you have a top, and then another bottom. All right, so this means that this bed has been overturned. All right, so there's been kind of some overturning that's happening. That's why this is at the top. And this one, once again, it's above the top of the bed. So this has been overturned. Okay, so trying to figure out where up is. That's going to be the top of the bed. That's going to be the top of the bed. This is the top of the bed. This is the top of the bed. All right, now we're doing this because we need to figure out where kind of the top surface is. What's our original surface? Now, if I go through, this right here is the original surface. Okay, so this is our S. All right, just like over here, that's our S. All right, now go back through and figure out, okay, well, cool. We know that fold 1 still exists in here. How did that get folded? And we can look and try to find the original hinge, and it's right here. Okay, so we know that fold 1 has to come through here somehow. Okay, fold 1, and it's probably going to go through just like this. There doesn't seem to be anywhere. There's just one other fold that's been created, so we know that it kind of goes through the middle of this area. Okay, so basically we have this, which has been folded like that. Okay, that's fold 1. Okay, trying to make this a little more 3D so it's a little easier to understand. Hopefully that helps. But anyways, so this is the top, which we see right here, which we see right there. And then this is our original fold. Okay, so this is fold 1. Now we're going to figure out where fold 2 is. Hopefully you notice that it got kind of folded in half. It's kind of easy when you draw on your fold 1 first because you can see where that's been folded. All right, so we know that this is another hinge that's been made, and that kind of goes in kind of like that. It's kind of weird. I guess I could put it a little bit more straight. Like that. And this is going to be our fold number 2. Once again, you can look for the cleavage and see that this is all a little bit more straight in these areas, kind of perpendicular to the hinge, just as this is perpendicular to the hinge here for fold 1. This is perpendicular to the hinge-ish, perpendicular-ish to the hinge of fold 2. Right, so we can mark where fold 2 is. Of course, you can go in and find your S's and your Z's, and you can mark that stuff in here. It's a little bit harder once you get further and further into the folds, although some of the examples that you have, you're going to see them and actually be able to use them because they're drawn a whole lot neater than this. Okay, so like if I was trying to put this in here, I would be able to put kind of my fold plane in like that. All right, and kind of the line that you really don't see that you see more right here, that would be your fold hinge, and then this line right there, that's your axis. Okay, so hopefully that helps a little bit and allows you to kind of do these labs if you missed, or maybe if you were just a little bit lost. Of course, you're welcome to ask me or Max if you need any help, And please, please, please feel free to stop by office hours.